I'm delighted to announce I'm now joined by Security Minister Tom Tugendhat. Tom, welcome to the show. We have to talk about this Labour supermajority. It very much feels to people, Tom, that Grant Shapps has sent up the white flag. It's not talking about if the Tories have any chance of winning. It's now talking about how bad the defeat is going to be, and seems to be a desperate plea to get people to still stick with the Conservatives so you don't get wiped out. As a Minister of State for Security, this seems to be more now about job security.
No, it's absolutely not about that. Martin, look, it's lovely to see you again, as always. But you would not expect me to run up any white flags ever, and I'm not going to do it now. This is a fight to the line. It's a fight to the end, and we've got a hell of a lot of campaigning to go. We're about halfway through the campaign, so it's hardly surprising there's some bumps and bruises. That's pretty much the nature of an election for those of us who've been through one or two before, and you've followed a few before, Martin. I know that. You know that's kind of how they work. And there's a hell of a lot of talking to do. One of the things I'll tell you that I find, and I've been lucky enough to be out and about in my own patch before I was forced back in order to come and talk to you this afternoon. I've been meeting people here in the most beautiful constituency in the entire country, in West Kent. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are supportive still. A lot of people are still very kind on the doorstep. And there's a lot of people who are undecided. And you can understand why they're undecided. We've been in for 14 years. There's many challenges. A lot of the decisions that we've taken in recent years still have to play out. And, you know, we're seeing some of the advantages. You know, if you look at Brexit, one of the advantages is we've got AI regulation, very separate from the European Union. But how long before you start to see the difference between AI feeding through in our hospitals, for example, different to Germany or France? Well, it's going to take a little while. Of course, it's going to take a little while. These are decisions that we have seeded already that are going to take a little while to grow fruit. And I can understand why people are in doubt. But really, the question that people have got to ask themselves, and you've been asking this yourself, Martin, I heard you, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the real choice is, frankly, do you want Keir Starmer in number 10? Because this is a guy who is not only not offering a plan, but you can see from his ethos what he actually thinks about things. Don't ask me. Listen to what he said. Ask yourself, do you want the guy who speaks about free movement of people to be the Prime Minister? Do you want the guy who isn't clear on whether terrorists should be able to come back to the UK to be in number 10? Do you want the guy who has also been appointing people who voted against our nuclear deterrent to be the guy who's responsible for the ultimate protection of the British people? You know, whether it's Shamima Begum or continuous at-sea deterrent, these are real choices that we've got to ask ourselves. And so you'll forgive me, Martin, I am not drawing up any white flags. I am fighting right up to the end because this is far too important to concede on, and I will not give up.
Nevertheless, Tom, there has been a perceptible change in mindset amongst Conservative voters. I stood in the 2019 election. Conservatives were begging the Brexit Party candidates to stand aside, don't let Corbyn in. And yet today, some astonishing figures came out. 25% of Conservative voters in 2019 now want the Conservatives to lose every single seat. There seems to be an appetite, Tom Tugendhat, amongst your own voters to somehow reset the party. There's a feeling that Europe divided the party, net zero divides the party, immigration divides the party. There's a feeling I hear every single day that Conservative voters simply want the Conservatives to be Conservative again.
So I agree with you that the Conservative Party has a responsibility to be arguing passionately for those things that really make us a great country. Now, part of that is our borders and our security, and I've touched on that, but part of it is also the economy. Now, we have to get taxes down, and that's exactly what we are promising. That's exactly the commitment we're making. But we can only make that commitment if we get over the line. Now, you don't need me to tell you because you know it. What's Margaret Thatcher's great line? Socialists eventually run out of other people's money. And that's exactly what Keir Starmer is proposing to do. He wants to spend your money. He wants to spend at least £2,000 more of it. And we know those figures because those are the ones he's announced. And no doubt it's going to be more because he's going to find things that he wants to spend money on that he hasn't told us about yet. So these choices are absolutely fundamental. What are we going to do about keeping ourselves safer? How are we going to make the economy grow? And how are we going to make those arguments work? Now, Martin, I've seen polls too. But you will forgive me. I saw quite a lot of polls before 2016 that left quite a lot of people in the betting markets worse off. And you got it right. I've seen quite a lot of polls in 2019 that told us a very different result. And again, you got it right. So look, I trust the British people to make the right decision. I trust democracy, and I'm sure the British people will look at all the factors and weigh them up.
But then you use the spectre of socialism, Tom. But a lot of people are saying we have socialism now. We've got the highest taxes since World War II. We have de facto open borders.
So we have got to bring down taxes. I mean, there's not just me saying this. You can speak to anybody in the Conservative Party about that. The trouble we've had, and you don't need me to tell you about this either, frankly. You could do this interview yourself, Martin. The reality is we have had to spend £400 billion on COVID. You know this, and it's been a complete nightmare, and we have got to pay it down. You know, if we don't do it in a balanced way, all that we do is we force up people's interest rates because we mess around with the economy in a way that causes people to doubt our confidence in the future. Now, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to bring down inflation. That's what we've just done. It's to balance the books. That's what we're doing. And to make sure that we put out a fully costed manifesto. And that's exactly what we've done. Get all those right. You bring the economy back into order. You see growth, and you start to help people to have that opportunity in life that this country can offer and that very few others can.
OK, Tom Tugendhat,